Well, it's a Talking Tuesday with the state newspaper, Lou Bezjak. Time to talk some high school football. The playoffs now in full flow. Now that 4A is being engaged this week. Of course, they were pushed back because of the flood. We had a makeup game last week, Spring Valley and Blythewood. You were there while we were doing the game. And what did you think about that game?
I thought Blythewood played really well. They got a big effort from quarterback David Israel and Osei Thomas. Pretty good 1-2 punch there, and Israel doing it with the passing and also running, and Osei ran the ball. Spring Valley had, it was back and forth. Couldn't get that stop when they needed to at the end, and then Israel had that big run at the end to put it away.
Yeah, Israel did a fine job running and throwing the football. Now, let's look at some games in the playoffs that happened last week. AC Florida got knocked out. I was speaking to one of the coaches just the other day at the gym. He said we had a bunch of turnovers, and that really hurt us.
I think 7 turnovers, something like that. You can't win a playoff game, especially against a good team like Chapman. And too many turnovers, and had a good season, had a good run there at the end, but just came up short in that first round, and starting to look forward to next year, I guess.
Dreher Myrtle Beach. Dreher had to basically on the road. They had to petition to get into the playoffs. Had Broome working on the other end, but they get in, but just got one more week of football.
Yeah, they were in it as well in that second half, and too much Brandon Sinclair, running back for Myrtle Beach, and he had a big game, but Avery Armstrong did his best last week for Dreher, put up a huge numbers in the loss, and a great career for Armstrong. He'll play in the North-South game and then go on to Furman.
RNE, Richland Northeast High School. You know, we didn't talk a lot about this team all year. They really wasn't a cute pick, so to speak, but Jay Fry's done an outstanding job, and they get a playoff win.
Yeah, just spent some time out there this afternoon. Beat Emerald last week, one of the hottest teams in the area. They've won 5 in a row. They lose a region opener to Chapin, and then 4 games in the region, and last week playoff win and home playoff game. They played at Harry Perone, and now comes the tough test. You got to go on the road against a defending state champ in South Point, but they're on a roll and got momentum. That running game's really cranked up, and the defense led by T.J. Brunson also playing well and did a good job against Emerald last week.
Chapin bounced back after losing to AC Florida last game of the year. They got the playoff win, and they look to be on a roll.
Yeah, put up over 50 points again. Logan Bailey, what can you say about him? Up to 58 touchdowns now total. Closing in on a kind of a personal milestone, short, almost 1,000 yards rushing and 3,000 passing, which is a pretty remarkable feat. And you got 58 touchdowns, like you said. He can go for over 60 this week against Wren. Well,
definitely a candidate for Mr. Football in South Carolina with those types of numbers. We'll look ahead to some of the games that's going to happen this Friday night. Irmo, 4-7, gets a home game. Figure that one out, but they do. They ended the season taking care of River Bluff. This team, can they win this weekend?
They can win. Coach Kennedy has them primed for the playoffs here. It's been a while since they've had a home playoff game, and they got a good balance on offense. Mason Smith has done a good job since they put him in quarterback, and they got Tharp and Bradley, the running backs. Hannah's, traditional power in the upstate, so it's going to be a tough task, but Irmo's kind of been hot or cold, and they got things going good right now.
Speaking of going good, the Lexington Wildcats, they're ready to go. Josh Stipp had this team primed. First time since 2011 this team had a home playoff game. New press box and all. I'm sure they'll be crowded, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, fired up. They lose that first one on the west side, and then 10 wins in a row. They had the bye week. Coach Stipp said it came at a perfect time last week. They were beat up a little bit, quarterback position and a couple other spots, but that extra week gets them healthy, and now play a Fort Mill team who's a pretty good offensive team as well, so you see a lot of points this week at Lexington.
And finally, Spring Valley has to go on the road, but Blythewood, because they defeated Spring Valley and they celebrated on the field of Harry Perone last week, Blythewood gets a home game.
Home game against North Augusta. It's been a while, I think, since they played Lexington back in 11, since they have a home game. So Blythewood, 8-3, but 12 points, and they're losing games by 12 points, separated by 12 points. So this is a good football team, and Coach Morgan thinks they can make a good run. They got the offense to do it. If the defense steps up starting this week, I like their chances.
We heard it from the man right there, Lou Bezjak of the state newspaper. A lot of playoff games, I believe 5 or 6 that'll be played right here in the Midlands. So whether it's your team or not, if you're looking for some good high school football, there's some places around here that you can find a great game. That's going to do it for sports. We'll come back and wrap things up in just a moment.